Originally, there were more than 20 people, but now there are only 9 people left, and 6 of them are newcomers. This made Chairman Netero very happy, as it has been a long time since such a situation occurred. But what should the final test assess? Menchi and others were very curious, and Chairman Netero also played coy. He decided to have a face-to-face conversation with each candidate first. The first one to be interviewed was Hisoka. Chairman Netero first asked him why he wanted to become a hunter. Hisoka replied that killing people is not illegal for hunters. So the chairman asked him who he cares most about among all the candidates. Hisoka immediately mentioned Killua's name, although he also cares about Gon. And finally, Chairman Netero asked Hisoka who he least wants to fight among the candidates. Hisoka answered that it is Gon. Hisoka bought 3 and got 1 free, and he gave the chairman an answer. That is, among all the hunters, the opponent he most wants to fight is Chairman Netero. However, the chairman scratched his head and didn't respond to it. Hisoka had to leave first. It seems that Hisoka is still too confident. After talking to each candidate, Chairman Netero could see that Hisoka's popularity was quite high. His name was mentioned by many people, whether it was the person they cared most about or the person they least wanted to fight. It can be seen that his strength is almost universally recognized. After finishing the interviews, Chairman Netero returned to his office humming a tune. Menchi and others looked at him with expectant eyes, and when they saw the paper in Chairman Netero's hand, they almost couldn't believe their eyes. "Chairman, are you really going to do this? Are you sure?" Chairman Netero nodded confidently. No one knew what brilliant idea he had come up with. The airship flew in the sunset. Gon and Kurapika were having a heart-to-heart talk. Kurapika noticed that Gon had been acting strange since the end of the 4th test. He seemed burdened with something. Gon finally revealed his encounter with Hisoka. He had never defeated Hisoka, but Hisoka willingly handed over his number plate to him. And he said that he didn't want it anymore. Hearing this, Gon burst into tears. He felt a great sense of shame and realized how small his power was. Gon felt lonely and helpless. That's why he went to find Kurapika and Leorio's in the end. They finally arrived at the location of the final test. Chairman Netero brought out a big board and unveiled it. Everyone thought it was a one-on-one elimination match lineup. But Chairman Netero told them that whoever won one battle would become a hunter. The losers would move up until there was only one person left. In other words, the highest position on the schedule was not the only winner, but the only loser. Gon's opponent was Hanzo, while Kurapika's opponent was Hisoka. The examinees stared at the schedule for a long time and finally understood that some people had far more opportunities than others. For example, Gon and Killua, who entered the competition in the first round, had up to 5 chances. As long as they won one of the 5 matches, they could become hunters. This rule doesn't seem fair at all. But Chairman Netero said that he arranged the order of appearance based on everyone's performance in the previous tests. The better they performed in the previous tests, the more opportunities they would have in the final match. Killua was a bit dissatisfied and asked if Chairman Netero could tell them the criteria for evaluation. Chairman Netero said that the evaluation mainly consisted of 3 factors. The first was physical ability, which mainly referred to agility, flexibility, endurance, and the ability to withstand pain. The second was mental ability, which mainly referred to endurance, flexibility, judgment, and creativity. The third was impression quality, in other words, an impression score. Upon hearing this, Killua was really unhappy. Does this mean that when these 3 factors are combined, Gon is stronger than him? At this point, Chairman Netero began to explain the rules of the test. In the competition, any weapon or means could be used, but only when the opponent surrendered could it be considered a victory. However, killing during the battle would immediately disqualify the participant. The first match was about to begin. Hanzo and Gon were the first to compete. Referee Glasses Guy saw Hanzo and thought he looked familiar. Hanzo also recognized Glasses Guy. He was the examiner who had been with him during the 4th test. But upon hearing this, Gon was completely confused. Was there an examiner with him at that time? Hanzo explained that there was an examiner with all the examinees at that time, supervising them at all times. Gon was even more bewildered. He hadn't noticed that there was someone with him the whole time. Similarly shocked were Leorio's and Kurapika. At this point, Killua, who was watching from the side, became even more frustrated. He also realized that Gon had an advantage. On the arena, Hanzo looked at the young boy in front of him. Although he seemed to have no attacking power, Hanzo could see from his eyes that Gon was a very tough opponent. Even if he was beaten all over, he wouldn't easily give up. He was a tricky opponent. After the match started, Gon initially tried to use his speed advantage to create distance from Hanzo. But as soon as he ran in the opposite direction of Hanzo, Hanzo instantly caught up with him. With just one kick, he knocked Gon down. Gon felt dizzy and felt like his soul was about to leave his body. Hanzo also had a headache. If it were a normal match, he would have easily won. But in this competition, the opponent had to surrender. So if he simply knocked Gon unconscious, he would have to wake him up. Seeing Gon in such a weak state, Hanzo immediately asked if he surrendered. However, as soon as Gon regained consciousness, he clenched his teeth and vowed not to surrender. Hanzo had no choice but to slap Gon again. Just as Gon was starting to recover a bit, he once again lost his bearings. Hanzo would ask a question and then hit him. Ask a question, kick him. Gon was like a puppet, completely at Hanzo's mercy. His whole body was soft, except for his mouth, which remained stubborn. He stubbornly refused to surrender, even if he was beaten black and blue. Leorio's and Kurapika, who were watching the match, were extremely anxious. Leorio's was eager for Gon to surrender and wanted to help, while Kurapika's eyes were turning red with anger. However, the spectators were extremely anxious. The chairman, Netero, who had set up this bizarre rule, remained calm. He seemed to have known the outcome in advance, as Gon had been humiliated for 3 hours unilaterally. Gon finally stopped coughing up blood, probably because he had no more blood left to cough up. Leorio's couldn't bear to watch anymore. He was excited and wanted to replace Gon in the fight and challenge Hanzo himself, but the examiners immediately stopped him. At this moment, Gon got up from the ground again and told Hanzo that he could still continue. So Hanzo became even more ruthless and directly broke Gon's left hand. Leorio's, who was watching the match, could no longer control his anger and told Kurapika not to stop him, as he wanted to fight Hanzo himself. However, Kurapika was also on the verge of exploding. Only Killua felt a little unwilling, as he believed that he would not have ended up like this if he had been the one fighting. Hanzo saw Gon trembling on the ground and couldn't help but want to completely crush his last bit of confidence. He stood on one hand and slowly loosened his fingers, indicating that he had received ninja training since he was a child and had already killed people when he was as young as Gon. Therefore, it was impossible for Gon to win. He advised Gon to give up and surrender early. Before he could finish speaking, Gon kicked him and sent him flying. This kick excited both Kurapika and Leo, but it also made Hanzo serious again. He pulled out a sharp knife from his sleeve and said that if Gon didn't surrender, he would cut off his foot. Gon didn't like this and told Hanzo that he didn't want him to cut off his foot, but he also didn't want to admit defeat. So he suggested finding another way to determine the winner. Everyone present laughed. They thought Gon really didn't understand the situation. What qualifications did he have to negotiate conditions now? But Gon could actually come up with a reason. He said that even if Hanzo cut off his foot, he still wouldn't admit defeat. But if the time dragged on, he would eventually die from excessive blood loss. So no matter how powerful Hanzo was, he would still end up kneeling on the ground, begging Gon not to die. So it's better to listen to him. Hanzo was a little confused for a moment. He couldn't understand what Gon was saying. At this point, everyone in the audience laughed. They thought it was ridiculous. Killua was a little confused. Gon hadn't become stronger, but the whole battle became funny because of him. Killua really couldn't understand Gon anymore, but he knew clearly that no matter how confusing Gon's words were, it couldn't change the fact that his strength was not enough. After all, strength is everything. Hanzo didn't want to be confused by Gon's words anymore. He swung his knife and left a blood mark on Gon's head. Hanzo stared at Gon's defiant eyes and couldn't understand. Wasn't it just a matter of admitting defeat? Gon was only 12 years old. What would happen if he came back next year? Is dignity more important than life? Even if he killed Gon now, he would just come back next year. Gon replied that he wanted to meet his father because his father was a hunter, so he also wanted to be a hunter like his father. And if he gave up now, he might never see his father again. Seeing that Gon was determined, Hanzo finally put away his weapon and said that he admitted defeat because he didn't know how to make Gon surrender. It was better to admit defeat than to be deadlocked. But Gon was not happy about this. Didn't we say we would find a solution together? Hanzo was speechless. Was this a game of make-believe? He didn't expect that Gon would win the first match by refusing to admit defeat and pretending to be dead. It felt a bit unfair. In a vast white mist, Gon ran up the stairs continuously. He saw a tall figure standing at the end of the thick fog. That figure seemed familiar to Gon, as if he had seen it somewhere before. It seemed to be his long-lost father. However, as he felt someone approaching from behind, the figure turned around. And just as Gon is about to see his face, the stairs beneath him suddenly collapse. Gon falls into the abyss. He suddenly sits up and realizes that it was just a dream. Saditz is sitting next to him. Seeing Gon wake up, Saditz takes the chair sitting next to him. He tells Gon that they are in the lounge next to the final experimental venue. Although Gon is covered in injuries, he has become the first hunter this year to pass all the tests. Saditz congratulates him, but Gon is clearly not happy. He indeed won without a fight. However, Saditz clearly understands Gon's thoughts. He tells Gon that since he has already passed the test, he shouldn't think about anything else. The Hunter Association will never eliminate him. If he feels that he is not worthy of being a hunter, he can do whatever he wants with the hunter license. And getting the hunter license is just the beginning. What's more important is what he does after obtaining the license. So, after hearing Saditz's words, Gon seems less resistant. He takes his license from Saditz. Perhaps he can repay all the debts he owes and then consider how to use it. After figuring out his own problems, Gon starts to care about others. So he asks Saditz if the tests are still ongoing, only to find out that all the tests have already ended. And the last person to be eliminated was Killua. This surprises Gon. Killua's strength couldn't possibly be the last, right? So he is eager to know what happened. Saditz then tells Gon what happened after he fainted. At that time, Killua asked Hanzo why he let Gon off. Hanzo said that he had interrogated countless people, and after they were abused, their eyes would show varying degrees of hatred. This light of hatred is the manifestation of their true thoughts. Even if you have undergone rigorous training, there will be a moment of true emotion when you are being abused. But Gon's eyes didn't have this light. Even when a knife was pressed against Gon's forehead, even when Gon's left hand was just broken, there was no hatred or anger in his eyes. And such a person is truly terrifying. Hanzo didn't think that anyone could really make Gon surrender. The second battle was between Kurapika and Hisoka. The outcome was already decided with just one encounter. Kurapika definitely couldn't beat Hisoka. But surprisingly, after a few words with Kurapika, Hisoka directly surrendered. This puzzled many people. The third match was between Hanzo and Pakal. The battle quickly turned into a one-sided output from Hanzo. But Pakal was not Gon. He couldn't replicate Gon's achievements. So under Hanzo's pressure, Pakal quickly surrendered. The fourth match was between Hisoka and an old man named Badoro. The old man had strong bones and didn't surrender even after being beaten all over. But in the end, when Hisoka whispered something in his ear, Badoro also surrendered. The fifth match was between Killua and the boy with the pink hat, Pakal. As soon as the match started, Killua surrendered. He probably felt that Pakal's strength was completely insufficient to fight against him, so he wanted to challenge a higher difficulty. Then he made the biggest mistake. When Gitaraker took off the nen pins from his face one by one, his face became more and more handsome, and Killua became more and more panicked. He finally realized that Gitaraker was actually his older brother, Illumi, in disguise. Feeling the heavy love from his older brother, Killua was sweating profusely and could hardly move. At this moment, Illumi told Killua that he came here after stabbing their mother. He said that their mother was in tears. Leorio's, who was watching from the side, nodded repeatedly. With a son like this, their mother must be crying, right? But then Illumi said that their mother was crying tears of joy. He said that Killua had finally grown up. But Killua is still too young, and their mother is worried about him being alone outside, so she asked their older brother, Illumi, to take care of Killua. The obedient Illumi has been keeping an eye on Killua's whereabouts. Unexpectedly, Killua came to take the hunter exam. Coincidentally, Illumi also needed a hunter license for work, so the two brothers met like this. At this point, Killua quickly denies that he wants to become a hunter. He just came here out of boredom. As a result, Illumi's expression suddenly changes. His eyes began to rotate like the Sharingan, and he looked extremely sinister. He told Killua that he was not suitable to be a hunter. The most suitable profession for Killua was only an assassin. Killua was someone who had no desires or ambitions. He didn't have any thoughts of pursuing anything, except when he came into contact with death, he would feel excited. So, what exactly was Killua pursuing? Did he want to become a hunter? Killua's eyes trembled, and his body was already soaked in sweat from panic. But he still spoke the words from the bottom of his heart. Indeed, he didn't come here because he wanted to become a hunter. But even so, he had something he wanted to pursue. However, Illumi directly refuted him. This statement instantly stirred up Killua's emotions. He loudly replied that he did have something he wanted to pursue. And afterwards, under Illumi's intense love pressure, Killua finally gathered the courage to say that he wanted to be friends with Gon. He was already tired of killing and wanted to be like a normal child, playing and laughing under the sun. But at this moment, Illumi directly denied all of Killua's thoughts. He seemed to brainwash Killua and told him that someone like him could never make friends. His judgment of people was only based on whether he could kill them or not. Killua was just too dazzling at the moment. As long as Killua continued to stay by Gon's side, he would eventually be unable to resist the impulse in his heart and kill Gon to test himself. Upon hearing this, Killua was already trembling all over. He clenched his fists and wanted to deny it, but he didn't know if he really was like Illumi said. Leorios couldn't bear to watch anymore. He shouted at Killua, "No matter what you think, or Gon, you are already his good friend." Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Illumi suddenly had a flash of inspiration. "It doesn't matter, we just need to kill Gon. Then Killua won't have any friends." Without hesitation, he started searching for Gon. Anyone who dared to stop him would be hit with a prayer bead. But Kurapika, Leorios, and Hanzo were not afraid of his power. They stood in front of Illumi. Only then did Illumi remember that he was supposed to participate in the hunter exam. If he killed Gon now, he wouldn't be able to obtain his hunter license. So he decided to postpone his plan to kill and test Killua. He turned around and walked towards the arena. He had to continue his match with Killua. But at this point, Killua's fighting spirit had already been completely suppressed by Illumi. He was taught by Illumi, how could he have the courage to fight his big brother? Killua couldn't even bring himself to look at Illumi and ultimately surrendered in a drenched sweat. After that, Killua seemed to have lost his soul. He ignored anyone who spoke to him. Later on, when Killua and Bedoro were fighting, he directly attacked and killed Bedoro. This violating the rules of the hunter exam and Killua getting eliminated. Leorios truly lived up to being a chosen uncle, as the hunter exam just took a step forward. After hearing everything, Gon couldn't bear it anymore. How could Illumi treat his brother Killua like that? He had to rush to Killua's side immediately to give him strength. But when Gon arrived at the Grand Hall, Killua was already gone. So Gon went straight to Illumi and asked him to apologize to Killua. He said, "Illumi, you have no right to be Killua's brother." Illumi found it a bit amusing. What qualifications do real brothers need to talk about? Upon hearing this, Gon instantly became angry. He grabbed Illumi's hand and threw him to the ground. Gon's grip on Illumi's hand was so strong that it seemed like he was about to break it. He told Illumi, "Making friends with others doesn't require any qualifications. Killua left because of you, so you must apologize to Killua and tell me where Killua went." As Gon and Illumi confronted each other, Netero, the chairman, walked over. He said that just now, Kurapika, Leorios, and others were all questioning whether it was appropriate to eliminate Killua. Before the battle with Illumi, Killua had been fine. It was only after Illumi disturbed his mind that Killua started behaving strangely. So they had reason to believe that Illumi had given Killua some negative psychological suggestions, even suggesting that Killua might have been hypnotized by Illumi. Pakal raised doubts about Kurapika's match as well. Why did Hisoka, who was clearly winning, suddenly admit defeat? He wanted to know what Hisoka had said. But for Kurapika, Pakal was lying down and winning directly because of Killua's surrender. Suddenly, the whole hall became chaotic. Everyone was blaming each other and doubting the fairness of this assessment. Gon couldn't stand it anymore. The fight between these people has nothing to do with him. He just wanted to know about Killua's situation. In fact, it didn't matter if he didn't pass the hunter exam once. He could still sign up next year. But Gon wouldn't allow Killua to be treated unfairly like this. If Killua really became a killer without morals, facing the world like the grasslands, he would never spare Illumi. Gon's words were full of confidence, making Illumi very curious. How would Gon deal with himself? Gon also said that he wouldn't deal with you, he would only take Killua away from you demons. For a while, everyone was silent. The room became very quiet. At this time, Netero, the chairman, suddenly spoke. That is, no matter what others think of this hunter test, the result of eliminating Killua will not change. Seeing that no one mentioned anything meaningful anymore, the bean-faced man began to explain the benefits of a hunter license. With this little card, you have status, identity, wealth, and privileges. Therefore, hunters must protect their cards well. If you accidentally lose it, the association will not reissue it. At this point, Chairman Netero officially announced that the 7 people present were the ones who passed the hunter test this year: Kurapika, Gon, Leorios, Pakal, Hisoka, Hanzo, and Illumi. After the certificate ceremony, Gon came to find Illumi again. He was determined to find Killua and rescue him from the dangerous situation. Illumi looked at Gon and then looked at Kurapika and Leorios behind Gon. He finally revealed where Killua might be. Killua should have returned to his home, Kukurumutan, and challenged himself if he dared. Gon, Kurapika, and Leorios turned and left. As soon as they left, Hisoka appeared from behind Illumi. He was very curious why Illumi, as a killer, would expose his lair to others. But Illumi didn't care at all. The powerful Zoldyck family was not afraid of being robbed. But he was interested in Gon. Looking at his arm, he really wanted to kill Gon first. However, Hisoka immediately threatened coldly. Gon was his prey. Gon and the others were planning to investigate where Kukuru Mountain was. At this time, Hanzo happened to be packing his luggage and saying goodbye to them. The hunter test was over, and he was going back to his own country. Just as Hanzo left, Pakal also came out to apologize to Gon. He was a little excited just now, so he said some unpleasant things. He hoped that Kurapika wouldn't take it to heart. But Kurapika naturally wasn't petty. After Pakal left, he told the others that he planned to travel the world next and find creatures that have not been confirmed yet, becoming a true beast hunter. This reminded me of Chimera Act and a sad ending for Pakal. He really should exercise his strength first. Because Pakal had a lot of hunter information, Gon wanted him to help check if there was any information about Jing freaks. However, he learned that it was confidential. But Gon seemed to be mentally prepared for this. After Pakal left, Saditz suddenly came to find Gon. He told Gon that his previous job was to excavate and repair relics. He always pursued fame and fortune, but later he saw a hunter who dug up relics and used his private property to repair and manage them, using his own power to allow ordinary people to visit and know the greatness of the relics. His actions have been regarded as a model by the whole world and are available for all hunters to refer to and learn from. The name of this person is Jing Freaks, the person Saditz admires the most. Hearing this, Gon's face turned red with excitement. His father was so amazing. At this time, Saditz once again expressed his admiration for Jing to Gon. Watching Gon leave excitedly, Saditz was also very happy. Kurapika began to search for information about Kukuru Mountain. Unexpectedly, the home of such a killer organization turned out to be a local tourist attraction. Ordinary tourists can visit it. No wonder Illumi didn't hide it at all. So the 3 of them agreed immediately and prepared to go to Kukuru Mountain. Gon was very excited. He was about to bring Killua out of the dangerous situation. The video ends here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your comments to support the channel. New anime series will be uploaded regularly on 21st Century Anime. Thank you.